So here's something nobody tells you when you're broke. Being poor is expensive. I know, sounds like the dumbest thing you've ever heard. Like saying the floor here is made of floor. But stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to realize you've been getting robbed your entire life. And the thief? It's math. Cold, calculated, absolutely ruthless math. And if you think this doesn't apply to you, you're about to discover the invisible tax you've been paying that's kept you exactly where you are. Miss this and you'll spend the next decade wondering why you can't get ahead while your money keeps disappearing into thin air. This is the story of my friend Styx, and how he learned the hard way that being broke doesn't just mean having no money. It means mathematics itself has declared war on you. Act 1. The Late Fee Spiral. Let's start with Styx's Tuesday morning. He wakes up, checks his bank account, $47.32. His phone bill is $50 due yesterday. Now, if Styx had money, this would be simple arithmetic. $50 payment, done, move on with life. But Styx doesn't have $50. He has $47.32. So he waits 3 days until payday. The late fee? $35. So now instead of paying $50, Styx pays $85. That's 70% more for the exact same service. The same phone. The same Instagram scrolling. But because he was $2.68 short on Tuesday, he now owes $37.68 more by Friday. Being broke turned a $50 expense into an $85 expense. That's the broke tax. But wait, it gets worse. Because Styx doesn't have $85 on Friday either. He has $250 from his paycheck. But his rent's due $800, his car insurance $120, groceries, gas. You see where this is going. So the phone bill gets pushed again. Another $35 late fee. Now we're at $120 for that same $50 phone bill. And here's the thing that makes me want to scream into a pillow. If Styx had just been rich enough to pay the $50 on time, he'd have saved $70. But because he was broke, he paid 140% more for the privilege of being poor. The math isn't neutral. The math is punishing you for being broke. Act 2. The Bank Account Conspiracy. Let's talk about banking. Because this is where the system really shows its teeth.
Styx has $12 in his checking account.
He buys coffee, $4. He buys lunch, $9. He's at negative $1, right? Wrong. The bank processes the $9 charge first, even though the coffee happened first. Why? Because banks can reorder your transactions from largest to smallest to maximize overdraft fees. It's legal. It's documented. It's designed. So now $12 minus $9 equals 3. Then the coffee hits. 3 minus $4 equals 1. Overdraft fee, 35s. His $4 coffee just cost him $39. But Rich Styx? Rich Styx has overdraft protection. Or better yet, Rich Styx has $5,000 in his checking account and never even thinks about this. No fees, no reordering, no punishment. The annual cost of being broke just from banking fees? According to research, low-income Americans pay an average of $400–500 per year in overdraft and maintenance fees. Rich Styx pays $0. Same country, same banks. Different math. Act 3, the bulk discount you can't afford. Here's where it gets philosophical, in a I want to flip a table kind of way. Styx needs toilet paper. The single roll costs $1.50. The 24-pack costs $18. That's 75 cents per roll. Half the price. But Styx has 8 until Friday. He can't afford to save money. He has to buy the single roll at double the per unit cost, 6 times over the next 3 months instead of buying bulk once. This applies to everything. Buying a car in cash versus a predatory auto loan with 23% interest. Buying quality shoes that last 5 years versus cheap shoes you replace annually. Shopping at Costco versus the corner store. Getting a good insurance rate when you can pay 6 months up front versus monthly payments with processing fees. Rich Styx spends $18 once. Broke Styx spends $36 over the same period for the same amount of toilet paper. The British author Terry Pratchett explained this perfectly through a character named Sam Vimes. The reason that the rich were so rich was because they managed to spend less money. Take boots, for example. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50, but an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that'd still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while a poor man who could only afford cheap boots would have spent $100 on boots in the same time and would still have wet feet. Being broke means you pay the stupid tax every single day. Act 4. The time tax. Now let's talk about time, because this is the one that really makes you understand the trap. Styx doesn't have a car. He takes the bus. 2 hours to work, 2 hours back. 4 hours a day commuting. Rich Styx drives. 30 minutes each way. 1 hour total. Styx spends 20 hours per week commuting. That's 140 hours per year. Rich Styx spends 5 hours per week, 260 hours per year. Styx loses 780 hours annually to being broke. That's 32.5 days. An entire month of his life every year just evaporated. But here's the cruel math. Styx can't use those 4 hours per day productively. He can't work a second job, he's on a bus. He can't rest properly, he's standing in a crowded train. He's too exhausted when he gets home to learn new skills or build side income. The time tax compounds. It makes you more broke, which makes the time tax worse, which makes you more broke. It's a mathematical death spiral. Act 5. The invisible interest. Let's finish with the final boss. Payday loans, rent-to-own furniture, and buy-now-pay-later schemes. Styx needs a laptop for a job opportunity. It costs $600. He doesn't have $600. But there's a rent-to-own place, $25 per week for 52 weeks. That's buy $300 for a $600 laptop. That's 117% interest. The same laptop, the same keys, the same screen, but broke Styx pays more than double because he couldn't pay up front. And payday loans? Those are even more predatory. Borrow $500, pay back $575 in 2 weeks. That's 15% interest for 14 days. Annualized? That's 391% APR. Rich Styx gets a credit card with 0% APR for 12 months. Broke Styx gets a payday loan at 391% APR. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, to extract maximum value from people with minimum resources. So what's the answer? How does Styx break free? Here's the truth. There's no one magic solution. But understanding the math is the first step. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Styx started small. He opened a free checking account with no fees. He set up autopay to avoid late fees, even if it meant eating rice for a week. He bought one quality item instead of 3 cheap ones. He found a closer job even for the same pay to cut the time tax. Each decision saved him from paying double. And slowly, painfully slowly, the math started working for him instead of against him. Because here's what they don't tell you. Wealth isn't about making more money. It's about stopping the bleeding first. It's about refusing to pay the broke tax one fee at a time. The math of being broke is designed to keep you broke. But math can be beaten. It just requires you to see the game you're playing. So next time you pay a late fee, or an overdraft charge, or double for something you couldn't afford in bulk, remember, it's not your fault you're broke. But once you know the math, it becomes your responsibility to fight back. Now go look at your bank statement. I'll wait. Because somewhere in there is a fee you paid that rich people never pay. Find it, then stop paying it. That's how you break the cycle. What's the worst broke tax you've paid? Drop it in the comments. Let's expose this system together.